All right, guys, we're back once again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We're live, episode 17 of Real Fans
Let's get it.
Podcast. What's good, y'all?
Let's go. Missed a week, but we're back.
Got a lot to talk about. A lot of sports, a lot of stuff going on right now.
Gabe got his crispy new Marlins flag behind him. I told him, I was like, dude, that thing
Show
looks...
him the shirt, Gabe. Show him the shirt, Gabe. What you got? Show him what
the hell's going on right now. You got two different teams.
We're gonna talk about the Yankees. That's why I want to wear my shirt today. But lots to talk about going on. This week, this Saturday, it's gonna be UFC 261, and of course, the big matchup is gonna be Usman versus Masvidal. And,
Usman.
Julian, if you want to start us off, because you're gonna be traveling this weekend, right, Julian?
Yeah, I was actually trying to go to the fight, but it sold out in like literally under 10 minutes. My one friend, he got into the queue for Ticketmaster and it said like 3,500 people ahead of you. And I was like, shit. I was like, I'm going to give it time. Maybe it's not going to sell out. And then literally like I checked it like 15 minutes later and just said all there was left was resale. And they're selling nosebleed resales for like $800. I was like, fuck that.
Don't tell me it sold out faster than Bad Bunny tickets. Because I know you guys heard the chaos these past few days with those tickets.
We got them.
Oh, you going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next year. Yeah.
Yeah, how much you dropped? 800? 800 for the nosebleeds? No, I'm saying.
I don't remember. I think she got them. But yeah, that fucking UFC fight though, that shit sold out. All there was left was the floor seats. Those ones that weren't resale was the floor seats, and those were like $6,000. Wow. Like, dude, you imagine having money like that where you just like it's like $6,000, just like let's go.
I guess the UFC is trying to make up for.
It's mad nonchalant.
What was that? What was that?
Why we like Frozen?
I was waiting for JoJo to see. Yeah.
Yo, Gabe, that was more awkward than your mustache right now, bro. That was awkward. Like
I really thought JoJo was Frozen for a second.
So as for the fight, though, so I think supposedly Masvidal is saying that he has a full training camp now because the reason why he wanted a rematch is because in the first fight, he said he took the fight on last minute. But a lot of people are like, did he really? Because like he was always the backup. He was always kind of training. He kind of knew he was like it was secretive. Like nobody knew that he was the backup. But yeah. I think he knew. So like Usman's trying to call him out saying that you're a bitch because I beat you and like I know you trained for that fight. Don't act like you didn't. If anything, I didn't train for you and I won. And now it's like this whole thing. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm see if Masvidal actually like is able to switch it up a little bit because Usman just that shit was boring. Like I don't know if you guys remember the last fight. It was super boring.
It was a foot stomping match.
But Usman's a boring. He's a boring fighter he's dominant, but his nature is just it's wrestling. So
sounds like Khabib. Very dominant fighter, but very boring to watch.
Really, I actually kind of like watching Khabib. I feel like he's pretty fast. Like Usman just kind of pins you to that fence and then just kind of holds you there. But
yeah, it was all shoulder hits and just foot.
Wrestling guys are always just kind of boring, which it's just how it is. I mean, I love seeing a striking match, but we'll see if Masvidal can push him off and really do something. Maybe hit that flying knee like he did to Ben Askren.
Nah, no way. He's not gonna fall for that twice. He's seen the tape. He's got the tape on that one. I'm hoping for because the last fight. I think I was kind of in Masvidal's corner. I think there's a difference in Usman was training fight and he was training for a fight or whatever, but they called him like what he had like 10 days or like a week.
Yeah,
or
it was like 10 days or something like that.
Like, preparation is key. Preparation is everything. That will set your mindset and everything going into any fight, no matter who you're going against.
Yeah,
and a fighter or a scrub. So,
and I think when you have an opponent and you know who you're gonna fight, like I think there's a certain you can train. Like I can go train not right now, but like if I know there's like a test or something, some kind of challenge coming up, like I think there's a difference in intensity of the training. So, I'm hoping to see that Masvidal, now that he has a full camp, now he has no excuse. So, now y'all going full head to head. Y'all knew this was gonna happen. This was going. So I'm hoping that it's gonna be an entertaining fight and not a boring foot stomp. Because this
is his final shot too. Like he ain't getting another shot after this unless somebody else gets the belt and he works his way up. Because as long as Usman has it and he loses again, in the way that he lost last time, that's it. His ass is done. Ain't no more of that street fighting shit once you're in the cage. Have you ever seen his old street fight videos? They're actually kind of
Yeah.
hype.
I saw some of them. Yeah.
They're actually kind of hype because he used to street fight back in the day with like Kimbo Slice and all that down there in South Dade. Yeah, that whole scene down there. So I've seen like a good amount of his street fights. They're actually kind of hilarious.
Those backyard knuckle fights, bro. That's some real shit.
Yeah, you in that game? You do that?
No rules.
No,
What
I used
happened to your mustache?
In college.
In college.
Yeah.
Gabe was about that back in the day.
In college, man.
You said they ain't use gloves.
When I started getting into UFC back in the dorms, like there was guys that had the DVD, so we would watch. You know, we didn't have fucking cable, so we had internet, but whatever. Like we'd be up late at night playing Madden shit, and we were like, "Oh, let's watch some UFC." So we watched like the old UFC fights, like when it was bare knuckles, when it was bare knuckle, when they didn't have gloves and shit, and we would watch, you know, like those kind of backyard fight DVDs, like they were fine because people would have them.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Those old UFC like clips those things are wild, dude. Actually, you know, funny enough that I think ESPN or SportsCenter or something, they put on their Instagram those old UFC clips. I'll never forget this one that I saw. It was like this guy, he had him like in an arm bar, but he didn't really pull him in the arm bar. And then he starts kneeing and elbowing his head, just like that's pounding it. And you just see the dude's just head just like fucking wobble back. And I'm like,
those fights back in the day were ridiculous. I don't think there were any weight classes or anything, right?
There wasn't. There was no
6'5", 300-pound versus a 5'6", 150-pound guy. It's so random.
Yeah, how it started was the idea that you have different martial arts fighting against each other. So you see like a boxer fight a sumo wrestler, and then like
versus jiu-jitsu or some shit.
Yeah, and like they would just go at it. But then it kind of from there evolved to what we have MMA, so it's like a mix of everything. Did you see those fat ass sumo wrestlers coming there and just getting their shit just rocked by like some like Muay Thai artist or something?
But yeah,
that shit was hilarious.
You know, it's definitely evolved. I think it's gotten better, like the product. But you know, I feel bad for you, Julian, because I know you're going back to your hometown. You can't get in, but yeah, man. It should be a fun.
It'll definitely still be an experience, like you said. Go to the festivities, see what they got going on around.
Yeah. Probably go to a bar near the arena and see. Like it's still gonna be dope. Still gonna be dope. And then apparently like MGK is like performing like right across too. So it's like pretty lively up there right now.
He's about to stand right outside of where they're having a fight. I can see you out there already.
That'd be lit if they had like a screen and you can just watch it like from outside the arena. That'd be dope.
I would never do that. I think they did that for Toronto when they couldn't, when they were obviously in the finals. They had like, what is it? It was called like not Jurassic Park, some park in Toronto where people were like showing, because they couldn't fit everybody in the stadium, so they had just like a place where they had the screen.
I think the Lakers do it too, don't they? Like the Lakers or the Staples Center, or
possibly.
I know a lot of teams, especially if the final game is on the road, at the home team arena or somewhere outside around there, they'll play the game.
That's dope.
Yeah, I've seen that where you go into the arena and they'll have like the cheerleaders and shit, and like you're just watching it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, they have watch parties. So
that'd be sick.
They usually have watch parties as well.
Do they?
I know the watch parties back in the day when they won their their little two-peat. Those were the real watch parties out here in Miami. Compared to obviously what's going on now, but like back, that's when Miami became a basketball city, man. Like home or away, you're watching that game.
I remember going to some of the radio, like, they have radio hosts, whatever, and usually they'd be like, one of the big spots like Flanagan's or one of these major, fast food restaurants. So when they were at the away games, I remember going to some of them for to watch. So that's definitely fun. The only thing I want to talk about this weekend, since we're talking about UFC, this past weekend, it was like, I think it was called Thriller Fight Night. It was going on. This was it was like a series of weird music. It was like a whole like carnival.
Let's just say I feel bad for anybody who paid $50 for that shit. God, that was awful.
Some people feel like they got their money's worth. I mean, apparently Justin Bieber performed. I think what's her name? Salty? Is am I saying that right? Shawty?
I don't know.
Sweetie.
They did Doja Cat, and then they had
Doja Cat.
The most hype part was when they did Mount Westmore. I don't know if you saw that Mount Westmore. It had on the stage, they had like the 4 thrones, and it was like Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube,
Okay,
Too Short,
Yeah.
Too Short. Who's the fourth one? Why is my mind drawing a blank?
It was Cube. It was a Cube? No, it wasn't Cube.
No, it was Cube. No, I already said that. Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Too Short, and then who the fuck was the other person?
That's all West Coast rapper guys.
Yeah, I was like, but it was hype though. They did like a cipher. Yeah. That was like the best part. Then I watched. They had like a shitty Frank Mir fight. I was like, Frank Mir fucking boxes. Like I didn't even know this. Yeah. That dude looked so fucking sloppy and slow. That shit was awful.
They had slap boxing too. We saw Rick was hosted by Rick Flair. You know, and,
I've actually
what's the dude
seen
from SNL.
Wait, Pete Davidson. Yeah,
Pete Davidson. Yeah, Pete Davidson. Yo, check this out, JoJo. Pete Davidson and Ric Flair were hosting a slap boxing match. So it was just two guys slapping each other. So you know, Ric Flair, he's the judge in the middle, and then fucking Pete Davidson's on the outside. He's just talking shit. He's just like roasting like both the guys, whatever the fuck. So it was kind of like ridiculous like that. You had musical performances. You had slap box fights, and go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you see the fight before the co-main event? Like the dude did a fake low blow. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah.
And he got pulled out on the stretcher. All right, so mind you, JoJo, the guy, so they're boxing or whatever. He apparently gets a low blow on him, but really he punches and he hits him like right here
on the side.
And you can see it on the instant replay and everything. And so he's like crying in pain. He's like, it gets to the point where they put him out in a stretcher, strap his head to the thing and his legs. I was like, this is the most like you know what it reminded me of? You ever watch you ever see that Key and Peele skit when they're like making fun of like European soccer and like they do the flopping?
Oh yeah, it's so dramatic, man. They get hit, they fall to the floor.
Yeah, Key and Peele did like a great skit where they did that and they was just like fucking crying and just like they get pulled out and he didn't even get it was like the most blatant like flop.
Yeah, so this guy got hit on the side, and you know they thought it was like a kidney punch, like you know he got kind of hit on the side, not in his ribs, but just like on the side, like where it's not protected.
Bro, he just got rocked and couldn't take it.
And he went and he started grabbing his groin,
ass
like
beat,
he grabbed his groin like he got hit in the nuts. So everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why is this guy? How you get hit on the side and then you're grabbing your nuts? Like, why would you do that?" So they were like, "Oh, he faked that shit." He was like, he was just trying to get out of that fight.
Flowed through his body. That boy got rocked and went through his whole nervous system.
Bro. And then after that, you had the Beeb come on and do his like fucking Christian pop music. That's what it sounded like. And did like he was on that shit for like 40 minutes, dude. I was like, are we done with this guy? I want to know how much they paid everybody because that's like that was an expensive event and there was like no fans. They had I think Jake Paul said $75 million in revenue, 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. I was like, how the fuck did they like?
I mean, that's at least 50 million, right?
It's all marketing.
Well, it says 75 revenue, but like
75 million. But I mean, but it has to be sponsors as well. But I'm talking about just pay-per-view buys. If it's $50, you say 1.5 million people bought it. That's about
Jake Paul put on his Instagram it was $75 million revenue for the event. I don't know what includes in all that, but that's just like what he said. And then he said 1.5 million buys. But the one thing I thought was a little and then he had fucking like it was the worst commentating I've ever heard in my life. It was like hilarious. It was so bad it was funny. I swear Oscar De La Hoya was fucking crossfaded or something. He was like out of his mind. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that guy. You had Mario Lopez speaking just nonsense. I was like, what the fuck is Mario Lopez doing here? Like
Snoop is good on. He's good on commentary. Snoop is funny as fuck.
Dude, I'm surprised. What Snoop
is funny, bro.
You honestly was kind of fucked though. It's like Snoop put like $2 million down on Jake Paul, but I don't know if you guys know, but like Snoop is like part owner of Thriller. So it's like you think that'd be like a conflict of interest that like
man, they're doing this shit on the fly, dog. This shit
it was the most rigged. And then
this whole thing just sounds like controlled chaos, bro.
It was.
Next fight, they're gonna have a live circus out there. They're gonna have lions.
And then to end it off, you see like the absolute like the most rigged fucking boxing match I've ever seen in my life.
So yeah,
like,
the whole night culminated with Ben Askren. Obviously, the last time we saw Ben Askren, he had Jorge Masvidal's knee in his face. He laying down on the ground. So he kind of ended. Did it end his career? Do you say end his UFC? He didn't fight after that, right? That was
he retired. He retired.
He retired. And he came out there, and the biggest, like, everybody was roasting him on Twitter because he came out and they say he looked like a bag of mayonnaise because he was so out of shape. They say he was so pudgy.
I will say though, Ben Askren
he came out looking like a local Wonder Bread.
I will say though,
I was surprised. I'm like, did he prepare for this at all? Like,
but the thing is though, he's always looked like that. I don't know, like even like during his UFC days or like his championship run in Bellator, he's always just fucking looked like that. I don't get it, because you would think at a certain point for you to train that much, like maybe he's just not like genetically blessed. Oh, obviously he's not.
I don't think he was training that much. That's
but I'm even talking about like before that. Like you see like his old UFC shit, and like even his first fight that he won in the UFC, like he's never looked like he's in shape. He's always looked like he had like a chubby 15-year-old body, like always. I don't know how he's done it.
You know a lot, but what did his like career look like? Like, was he good?
Oh, he was dominant. He was on the
rise.
At one point when he was in Bellator, Ben Askren was UFC traded for him because he was actually, I think they said he was the best fighter outside of the UFC. He was the best fighter.
Wow.
So they traded Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson to then bring him in. I believe that was a trade. To bring him in, and then he won against Robbie Lawler, which I don't know how he won. He was getting his ass beat. And that's why everybody was saying it was rigged, because they actually clipped that fight where Robbie Lawler's just ground and pounding his ass and taking hits. And he's like, you mean to tell me that he won this fight, but he gets knocked out by Jake Paul? Like,
yeah.
But
and so
anyway,
George,
but
yeah, that's insane.
I was just going to say, like, oh, I would say also before MMA, Ben Askren is probably deemed as like one of the best USA wrestlers ever.
Yeah,
he's like a world-renowned wrestler.
Yeah, I know
he's one. He's one of only 3 people to win like the Heisman of wrestling 2 times. Like he's the There's only been 3 other people that have done it twice.
So when he came into the UFC, he had 19 straight wins, except he had one no contest against Luis Santos, but he won 19 straight times, and then he fought Jorge Masvidal and lost.
So, this guy's the real deal, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, because he beat Robbie Lawler.
What happened the other night then? That's ridiculous.
It was rigged. Well, granted, all right, so to put it in perspective, the reason why I thought this would be an interesting matchup, Ben Askren's never been a striker. Never. Yeah. He never swings. He's always looking to take you down. He only knows how to defend, to take down. Like, that's all he ever does. And I even watched interview that he did with Ariel Helwani, and he was talking about it, like how he always kind of lets his left arm down, and he always leaves himself vulnerable to the right, which has ended up how he got knocked out. But he's so used to doing that, because in MMA, when they would do that, he would then duck down and do the double leg.
But this was boxing.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why people thought it'd be an interesting match, because he's never really been a boxer, never really been a striker. But you would think to a certain point, you are in the UFC, you're a professional MMA fighter. You would think you would know.
Like, not to say that you're a striker yourself, but you'd obviously have to know how to defend against. You got people swinging at you.
Or even strike back. Yeah. Like you think that he would at least know high level boxing. Like, you don't have to be a boxing champion. Like, you don't have to be like Israel Adesanya or like Conor McGregor, but you would think that you'd be high, like you're an MMA fighter. You think you'd be high level, like at least enough to compete with other guys. And that's what makes me think this shit is rigged. Because, like, first off, I highly doubt Jake Paul has that hard of a right hook. At the end of the day, he just started training boxing like a couple years ago. And I can almost guarantee Ben Askren is taking harder shots from professional UFC fighters and kicks than any punch Jake Paul even threw.
Without the gloves. Without those gloves.
Well, in Jake Paul's defense, hits actually are harder on your head with the boxing glove.
Wow.
There's more surface area.
There's more. It's bigger and it's heavier.
Yeah.
So like a boxing glove is almost the size of your head. So you're rocking your whole head versus just like that. So
the fight ended. What was it? A feint? It was a right. It was a quick right. It was like an over.
Yeah, I think he hit him with a left jab, and then he hit him with a right hook.
With a right.
Yeah,
and it was done. I mean,
He got up.
They show that clip online.
The ref,
about 1,000.
well, straight up though, the ref ended it early. If you want to call it a real fight, that's another reason why I was. He stood up like in under 10 seconds and got up and was ready to go, but the ref was like, "Nah." I was like, "This shit is so rigged, dude." I was like, "There's no way. There's no way, dude. There's no way that's like."
So
this
How
is
do you
legit.
fight that early?
It's rigged. Well, boxing is. That's not the first time that's ever happened in boxing. Boxing is like historically just a curve. It's you never bet on boxing because it's so ridiculously corrupt. Like you never bet on it, and at least bet on the underdog. You never bet on the underdog. There's a reason why everybody in boxing is like fucking 50 and like 2, like or like 34 and 0. Like they all get scripted, set up fights. But looks like Jake Paul's going to be that guy. We'll see if he actually fights a legitimate striker, maybe at least a higher bit level.
Just spitballing here. Who do you guys think he'll fight next or potentially fight next?
I think he's gonna
any beef going around, lingering over the internet.
He called out. He's called out some like professional fighters before. I think he's called out like Mayweather and shit.
No, Logan Paul. No.
He's gonna call out Mayweather. He's gonna call out Pacquiao.
Conor McGregor.
No, his brother. Conor McGregor. His brother Logan is fighting Mayweather. Like that's happening, which is going to be really interesting because Logan's a big guy and Mayweather's like a fucking midget. So that's going to be interesting. Before Askren accepted it, he actually did call out McGregor, but I think McGregor's actually serious about being a champion again. But honestly, McGregor would whip his ass because McGregor's a legitimate elite striker. Like at the end of the day, McGregor, I would arguably say, won a round on Mayweather on one of those. I think it was a third or fourth round. I think you can arguably say he won a round, which means a lot because Mayweather's the greatest defender in history, probably one of the best boxers ever. So I think he's going to fight.
That's going to be some celebrity,
man. It's going to be somebody Ben Askren level. I think he's going to keep on. I think he's going to stick with the MMA. I think he's going to stick with the MMA guy. But I think he's going to dabble in maybe somebody a little bit of a better striker because Askren just was not a striker. But I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to jump straight to elite striker in the UFC. But maybe like a guy who's really heavy wrestling and just. I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was at the fight. He was in Ben Askren's corner. That'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. I think Tyron Woodley would rock his ass. But
and so here's the thing, right? So it's whatever. Like obviously, not many people are gonna take this guy Jake Paul serious as a boxer, but it's still amazing what he's doing, and
it's impressive.
He's making himself a credible fighter, drawing in a large audience, whether he's good or not, and he's generating all this revenue.
Yeah,
and talking trash, building all this hype, and people genuinely want to see it.
Yeah,
creating this fake beef with celebrities, calling people out, and these are fights that people want to see. Why? Because it's entertaining. Whether it's real or fake, it's funny to us.
I will say this too.
People are going to tune in. Like, come on, real quick. You got your point. Him versus Nate Robinson. That's the most random thing I've ever heard in my life. Bro. If you're a retired NBA player, are you one of the smallest NBA players I ever played? I don't even know how that got set up, but carry on, Julian.
I think Nate Robinson wanted to play football too, so he's like one of these athletes that like
Nate Robinson would have got destroyed in football.
It's just gonna be someone completely out of left field. It's gonna be because now people are calling him out. There's no more. He don't need to call people out. People want to fight because one is money opportunity, market opportunity. Your name's gonna get out there, so people are gonna start reaching out to him. Yeah. Start trash talking here and there because why not? That's what they're saying. You know what? I think I can take this guy. It's crazy.
In Jake Paul's defense, I will say Jake Paul he's pretty good. Like he's trained with professional coaches for probably about 3 years now. So Jake Paul is no scrub. So
he's taking it serious. As you can see,
he's taking it very. It was hilarious though when after that fight.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's funny though. After the fight, everybody was making memes. It's like Jake Paul after he knocks out your dad, and then he like takes a picture like LeBron holding the trophy, just crying. Like, I was like, why is he taking this so hard? But like he won the fucking World Series. But anyway, it's like he's actually like a good fighter. So that's why I don't think. First off, it's not. It wouldn't even be right for him to just take a normal guy. he's at the level where it's wrong.
It needs to be another celebrity. It needs to be another fucking YouTuber or something. You know,
no, I don't think anybody. I think he's at the point where he's too good.
You think he's gonna go legit, like into the legit?
Well, first off, too, I think. Well, really, I think the most money is if he's gonna actually fight. He's not gonna fight a legit boxer. There's no way. No way in hell he's fighting a legit boxer. One, because boxing stars aren't as big. I think really his lane is sticking to fighting MMA fighters, just like low level striking MMA fighters. Like I really think that's the route he goes, because I think that's the most equivalent of what he's going to get. Because if he fights a legitimate boxer, even if they're amateur, he's going to get his ass kicked, because it's just a different sport. But
where's Butterbean?
And I think he's too, and then he's too good to just fight another YouTuber or somebody. Like, look at Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson, like, he could have died out there, dude. Like, it was bad.
He did look like he died. He did look like he died.
So he's gonna fight some low tier, like he's gonna fight like a bigger name. Like honestly, Askren was like the perfect thing, because he was like a big name guy in the MMA world, but he couldn't strike. Yeah, if they can find another guy like that, like I said, like a Tyrod Woodley, that would fucking sell. Like big time. Like that was probably
Woodley, if he's hurting for the money, you know what I mean? Tyrod Woodley.
He probably is, dude. He's gotten rocked like 4 times in a row.
What do you guys think? What if 50 Cent get in on the action here?
No, 50 Cent wouldn't do that, man. 50 Cent's more interested in his business. He's a businessman. He's not a fucking.
50 Cent, isn't he like a billionaire?
That's business.
Isn't he like a billionaire though?
Listen, that's business. And 50, you know, he's a big dude. He has some experience.
I don't think he needs that money. I don't think
50's not hurting for money, dog.
Because what's going to happen is Jake Paul is going to be the one promoting the fight. So whoever it is, I don't think it's going to be somebody like bigger than him in like status, because he's going to be the one promoting. He looks like he's kind of in the pocket of that whole Thriller stuff, and like it's like Mayweather has the fuck is his promotion
Golden
called?
Boy?
No, that's Oscar De La Hoya. Mayweather has his fucking
money team.
TMT.
Right?
Well, Money Teams is his thing, but I don't know if that's what his promotion's called. Whatever. Like, anyways, like if it's a Mayweather fight, he's putting it on. That's why boxers make so much money, because there is no league or anything. They promote themselves. So it looks like whoever Jake Paul's taking on, he's gonna be like getting the cut. He's gonna be on the promoting it. Like that's what's gonna end up happening.
I feel like we had a good discussion there. I want to end it because it was just a circus. I mean, it was just fun entertainment. For me, it was fun on Twitter. It's to see all the memes.
I'm so glad you paid for it. I feel bad for anybody who paid for that shit.
Yeah. So just to move on real quick, I just want to talk real quick about NFL. Over the past weekend, Sam Darnold got traded from the Jets to Carolina. And, you know, obviously Jets have the number 2 pick. And this probably means that the Jets are probably going to get a quarterback. So, Jojo or Julian, who do you think I mean, next week we're going to talk more about the draft, because the draft is coming up next week.
Next week is our live draft show. We're going to be going on live during the draft and going through each pick.
Yeah, we'll do our predictions, our mock drafts.
I'm going to get shit-faced. Gabe's probably going to rage because they're going to take Trey Lance. Like,
oh, man, don't do that.
Honestly, I think the Jets are going to go with Zach Wilson.
Oh, 100%. It's pretty much locked in at this point.
They're going with Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson just signed with Nike. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Did he?
Today. He signed with Nike.
Trevor Lawrence, I think, just signed with Adidas, I believe.
Was he with what was Carolina?
I think he signed with Carolina.
South Carolina. I think they're not Nike.
What are you talking about?
No, just the college to school, but it doesn't matter because now he's a pro now. So yeah.
Well, yeah, this is an individual contract. Yeah. But
so going forward, going forward, he will be in Carolina. Sam Darnold. So you're saying Zach Wilson? We pretty much agree.
I think that's happening. I think the draft starts at 3. I think I mean the 49ers should take Justin Fields. If they take Trey, whoever goes to the 49ers, they're going to be successful, because Kyle Shanahan is just like a whisperer, dude. Like anybody who plays with, look what he did with Jimmy Garoppolo, man, and Matt Ryan, like RG3, like any Kirk Cousins, every quarterback he's been with, he's either gone through the Super Bowl with or won the play. Yeah, like I would arguably say the whole reason why the Falcons even made it to the Super Bowl that year before they lost horrendously was because of Kyle Shanahan, Matt Ryan being able to work together. and like put together something nice. But as for Sam Darnold, Sammy D, man, I don't know. I mean, he definitely needed.
We all know he has potential, right? Just we're blaming the system.
He had a shit. So he had a shit situation.
This is his opportunity now. All right, let's see what his talent brings. Let's see his leadership skills. There's no more blaming. I was playing with the Jets and this and that. He's in a better situation. He's not in the greatest situation, but he's in a better situation.
He's got a good coaching staff. I will say that. I mean, he's got Joe Judge as the offensive coordinator, which was the offensive coordinator for Joe Burrow down in LSU, where they had one of the greatest offenses in college history. Then you have Matt Rule, who everybody likes to see. This guy is like the second coming of Jesus because he's turned around franchises like Baylor, which I thought was kind of weird how that somehow granted him like complete control of the Carolina Panthers. But we'll see. I mean, so everybody raves about that coaching staff in Carolina. So we'll see if they actually do something. Christian McCaffrey's going to come back. He's going to be healthy, so that'll be nice to have. He's still got Robbie Anderson, which I actually had in my fantasy team last year, who actually put in work for me. I learned his name last season.
I think they got another veteran.
They have DJ Moore. They have DJ Moore. And then my guess, they're taking a receiver. I think. I mean, I think Kyle Pitts would be perfect for them, but I don't see if there's no way Kyle Pitts gets up there. If anything, I could see Miami taking Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. But we'll talk about it next week, baby. Let's save it for the show. Let's hit content for next week.
But anyways, whoever Carolina gets, it's definitely gonna be a weapon. So I think Sam Darnold, this is his chance to prove it. Yeah. If not, I don't know if he can though. We'll see though.
Surround him with weapons. All right, we're gonna go through real quick. Just want to talk about soccer because I saw the game this week. Inter Miami FC is a brand new soccer franchise here in Miami. They're playing out of Lockhart Stadium, which is now called, I think it's called Drive Pink Stadium or something.
Yeah, Drive Pink Stadium, which makes sense.
And they opened up with LA Galaxy, which is, they were supposed to play them before the COVID shutdown all happened. That was supposed to be their own game, their home opener.
It was?
The COVID, yeah, they were supposed to play them last year.
Well, I know they had the one game in LA, the FC, but that was before the shutdown. Yeah, that's right. Because so this is actually their first inaugural home game, even though they had home games before, but it was locked down.
And, obviously, the LA tie is David Beckham used to play on the LA Galaxy, and now he's the owner of the Miami team. And they ended up winning, and they're actually pretty good. I saw the first half of
the Galaxy won.
The first half, I ended up seeing.
Chicharito went off. Chicharito.
That's right. I did. Okay, I remember about Chicharito. They put him in the news.
Yeah, Chicharito scored 2 goals to win the game. You see, Tom Brady was there. Tom Brady was at the stadium. Way. Yeah,
he was out there.
Mm-hmm. He was at the game. I guess he's friends with like David Beckham and stuff. Tom Brady was out there.
That's
somebody else was out there. That was big name. I don't remember. But yeah, that was a pretty good game. Miami looks like they could do well. They got some transfers over. See what they can do. Interested. But as for bigger soccer news, the Super League that was proposed by the top 10 teams.
Well, I think it was like 12
teams. 10 or 12, yeah, something like that. And I thought at first, Jojo, you go.
Yeah, because JoJo's the one. He kind of heard the news and he wanted to bring up the topic of the Super League going on.
Yeah, basically, tagging what you guys saying, it was 12 clubs, right? So 12 clubs agreed to form their own competition with other clubs to follow. So the best teams, basically baseball terms or basketball terms for those out there, it's like taking the top franchises. You got LA, you got the Celtics, you got the Heat, you know what I mean?
Bucks.
You got Golden State, you got all the best teams out there forming their own league for them to have their own, competition, their high level standards, everything like that. And that's where the money's going to revolve around. And people don't understand what that, what that would do for like the fan impact overall for the game and everything like that. Like it's not the best idea.
So Julian, what did you find? Like, what did you hear about the Super League? Or what are your thoughts on it?
Well, at first I thought it was awesome, but then as I kind of like read and like looked into it, I realized, it's probably not the best idea, because the problem is you're then excluding a lot of the lower level clubs that have the possibility to come up. and make a name for himself. Because a lot of people point to like Manchester City, for example, who were one of the proposed teams. 1999, they were in Division 2. They weren't even in like the EPL, like or the highest level of the EPL. Same, I believe, with like Chelsea and like other teams, like, and so what I guess the people I think I've noticed that are getting affected the most is especially the English league, because the English league is arguably probably the most competitive out of all the European leagues, because there's more like bigger names in England versus like Spain. You only kind of have the three, like Atletico, Real, Barcelona. Italy, you kind of have Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and then I don't even think PSG was in there. None of the German teams were in there, which was kind of surprising. I'm surprised you didn't see Bayern Munich in there. But I guess it kind of takes. Somebody I was listening to Pat McAfee, and they put it in a great like the way, because they brought in somebody from England, one of like a reporter or analyst over there who covers the Premier League. Is like, imagine like the best example would be college football. Imagine if you had Alabama, Florida, Oregon, Ohio State, Clemson, all those guys come in for, which would be fucking awesome. Like, it would be awesome. Yeah, but the problem is you lose some of the teams who've been able to make a name for themselves. But remember, we were talking about it during March Madness. Like, sometimes those teams that go in there, like Oral Roberts, their program has changed forever now. Yeah. Now they're able to do something. BCU was changed 10 years ago. So it's like, you see it mostly in basketball, but like, look at the Cincinnati Bearcats this past year in college football. They're ranked 8. And they were not in a Power 5, and they got to ranked 8. So it's like you're limiting the chance for people to kind of make a name for themselves and do something and like kind of change that and turn that program around. As much as it'd be awesome from a fan perspective, I can see, well, depending on what kind of fan you are, depending if you're a fan of like one of the big teams, on one thing.
Here's a list of like potential threats, to dive in a little deeper there. So leagues could ban teams from domestic competition if they go ahead with this move. UEFA intends to ban players involved from representing their national teams. So that's a big one. Mm-hmm. And then a World Cup and Euros could be impacted as well. So it's bigger than them just creating the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'd be funny too. It was like the guy brought up, he's like, if this shit goes through, best believe the first thing I was looking for is how I can make money on this. He's like, best believe I'm putting a shit ton of money on Germany, because they don't have a team in there. So like, they're going to keep all their best players.
Right.
And Brazil's going to lose, because Brazil's going to lose a lot of their players. Argentina's going to lose their players.
You're not going to be able to go back and forth and play with both or represent the national team. So, World Cup is going to be different.
Well, that's because FIFA doesn't like it. FIFA doesn't, and FIFA is notoriously one of the most corrupt it's FIFA, NCAA, and just boxing as a whole are like 3 of the most corrupt like fucking sports out there. Like
organizations.
Yeah, organizations. Even though boxing's not really an organization, but you know what I mean.
But what I kind of got from it was just kind of, they don't want to like share revenue, right? Like you said, they're taking the best teams in the league and they're just separating, like they're just making like you said, a super league, whatever. Imagine taking just like the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Cardinals or whatever, the best teams of whatever best sport, and they're like, okay, screw y'all, we don't want to share money with y'all because y'all suck and y'all don't bring in that money. We're the money makers here. So
and now imagine in baseball terms, right? If that would affect the same way for soccer, like if they can't represent the national team for a World Baseball Classic, then who are they pulling these guys from? Not from the MLB. If they
the thing too, to make it, the reason why it's more like college and less like professional, because you got to remember, there in Europe, there is no collegiate level. Like you do U17 leagues and you do like their academy teams and stuff like that. So if these super leagues are continuing to get the best players in their academy and stuff like that, it's kind of like Alabama constantly getting top 5-star recruits, which they already do. But like now you're all these like Power 5 or whatever Power 12 teams, like the Big 10, what? Like the Big 12, what? Pac-12, what? Like, you bring in all these big names from like each conference, like you kind of eliminate like all those smaller schools that could do something, but now they're losing funding because they're not getting the bigger games. They're not having the opportunity to bring in bigger players to make a name for themselves and all stuff. So it's wild. It sounds great on paper, and I think it's great from my perspective.
Pulled out today, so
I was gonna say today they're supposed to meet. I guess they're meeting in person somewhere because there's a lot of protests going on, especially in England. I saw people putting up.
They're the ones getting affected the most, I think.
Yeah. Chelsea was involved, and all these other teams. People went out and actually protested, like, "Yo, if y'all gonna do this, then we're not gonna be fans anymore." So apparently they met tonight, and like you said, JoJo, that two of the teams pulled out. 2 of the 12 teams pulled out. So is going forward. It's looking like the owners, they want to make this move where, like they said, they want to make a super league team, but kind of the fans went against it, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Like you said, there's too many repercussions going forward with as far as the players and the fans go.
And mind you, quick point, like another thing too is like you got to take in consideration that like since these teams, they're in their own separate leagues as well. So the only time they ever play each other is during the Champions League. The Champions League. So those teams are automatically disqualified from the Champions League. But the thing is, especially in England, they take their games more serious against other Premier teams versus like diehard Chelsea fans and Manchester United fans. Like, sure, they like going against Real Madrid or Barcelona or Juventus or whatever, but what really matters to them is facing Fulham or facing Arsenal. Like that, those games, those are traditions, and like, I mean, that league has been around since like the 1800s, and like their grandparents have been like, I mean, you get fought in the streets. It's one of the most like deadliest games to go to because like people get jumped and shit all like they don't fuck around. So it's not. That's what makes it like difficult. That's why England's against it the most.
There's a whole like community, like where you grow up and you grow up in a neighborhood, you always root for the whatever team. It's like a whole community, like ecosystem, like economy that's built around these teams. And like you said, it goes back traditionally to like the 1800s. They go to pubs and they watch these like things religiously, like they like it's church or something.
I think all the English teams are gone, but all those other teams are staying. I would not be surprised you see all those other teams stay. I think that might happen.
We shall see going forward. So I just want to bring that up as far as soccer real quick. I just want to bring up the Panthers. Panthers are on the prowl. They're overall number 4 in the league. Right now they're playing the Jackets. They were beating them 5-1. I don't know if they won the game. If the game is over. It was the third quarter, the third period when I last saw the score. But like I said, Panthers, they're the real deal. I think they're playing the Blue Jackets now, but next day they play Carolina, which Carolina is the top team. Is one of the toughest teams. So that's kind of like a playoff preview because we're not in the playoffs yet. We still have like another maybe month of games. So
I think the last game's the 8th. Not even a month. We got like a couple weeks left. Like 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left.
I've probably been watching them the most, more than basketball. And I think they're like 9-4 the last 13.
Gabe really diving deep into hockey.
Yo, man, I love
really diving deep into
we
hockey,
actually got a good fucking team now. We actually got a nice team. You know what I mean? We had a couple of injuries, a couple of bad losses. We lost to the Lightning last week, which was a tough loss, but I think we came back on the series. Which again, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they just won. They won last year. So
yeah, right now we're tied with Carolina still, but Carolina has the edge because they have the less losses, but they played less games.
I just want to bring up their names. I'm still watching it. I'll bring you updates. Hopefully, JoJo, one of these days. I know you got to go on vacation.
I'm feeling the passion over here, Gabe. I love it.
When you come back from vacation, let's go to a fucking game.
Keep that hockey drive going.
We're going to the playoffs, dude. We're going to a playoff game. There's no way. I want to go to a hockey playoff game, like, because we're going to clinch it. Like, there's no way. And it's going to be high seed, so definitely going to be home ice advantage.
That's it for the Panthers. Let's talk about baseball now, because we brought it up kind of a little bit earlier. All right. JoJo, if you can, I'm wearing my shirt. Obviously, as we talked about earlier. I'm wearing my Yankee shirt. What's going on with the Yankees?
As much as I love representing the Yankees and everything right now, we do have to own up to how we're playing. Not playing the best. I'll tell you that right now. Right now, guys, 5-10. Last place in our division. But, Cashman states, patience over panic right now. We're not going to make any adjustments. It's still early on in the season, obviously. We're pretty much slacking in our hitting, all the above, man. We have one pitcher right now in Cole. He's the one putting all the work and everything. But right now, few little stats here. Yankees are averaging 1 homer every 30.7 at-bats compared to last year, every 20.4 at bats. So, and out of every 20 at bats last season, we had at least a home run compared to 30 this season. With the heavy hitters we have like 5 of the best hitters in the league on the same team. But we're in a really tough division right now. It's surprisingly, I don't even know how. I looked it up today. I was looking at Boston is in first place.
11-6. Yeah.
Bro, and then you got the Rays and the Blue Jays, which, majority of our games, we had a couple series against those teams, and we're losing directly to the teams in our division. That's hence why we're in last place with that record. Obviously going against the Rays, who made it to the World Series last year. Blue Jays, young, explosive, offensive team. They're playing really great right now, so I give them credit. But right now, I'm not worried, to be honest. 15 games in, you already know baseball, man. You got a long season. And, hopefully it turns around. You just got to believe in what you got, which we got players, man. We got names. We got everything. They just got to perform.
Hopefully my White Sox picks.
Hope you're a White Sox. You were for the White Sox? You're a White Sox fan?
No, that was my pick. Like in the beginning of the season,
I don't know.
White Sox
I never know
pick.
Julian's baseball team, bro.
That was my. Remember how we did predictions of like who we think White Sox were my sleeper team. I wanted to see they're 9-9 right now though.
I'm still watching the Padres. I think Padres. They came up. There's a bad play I saw the other day that they had.
They're 10-8.
But speaking to the Yankees, just looking at the point differential, I mean, the point differential is not that bad. As far as runs allowed is 64, which is not too bad. Which, Jojo, you brought up the Tampa Bay Rays, who won the World Series last year. Tampa Rays has given up 82.
They went. They didn't win. Dodgers won, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. They went to the World Series. They gave up 82 runs so far this year, and they're -10, but they're still above the Yankees. And the Yankees,
man. What's keeping the Rays alive, man, is their pitching. You saw their pitching, very strategic last season. They kept the games close enough where they allowed their hitting to give them a chance to win the games.
And they didn't lose anybody either, right? They didn't lose anybody in their bullpen, right?
I can't remember. I had to look at the rest.
Of my head, I'm not sure. They made some moves, re-signed some people, but they're still playing great.
Kept everybody.
I mean, right now, obviously, speaking for the Yankees, man, you don't want to lose against the teams of your division because that's when it comes down to playoff time. Those are the guys you're going against for that playoff spot. So,
yeah, I think the biggest
tonight. I got that over vacation. We beat the Braves. Yeah. So something to cheer about over here. But it's like to get into other teams, not just with the Yankees. Surprisingly, Marlins. How you feel, Gabe? 7-8 right now.
The Marlins, okay. So
they're actually turning it around because they're 1-5
at all.
They were 1-5, I think, weren't they?
Here's the one thing that I see as far as the Marlins. So just to recap, because last week we had been off for like a week. Last week we did go to a Marlins game. Who did they play? They played what game did we see?
Cardinals. Yeah, they're 6-4 in the last 10 games. So they've actually been above 500 these last 10 games. They've been kind of turning around. Granted, mind you,
only 2 games behind. Only 2 games behind first place.
And they started a whole series against the Rays. Like that was their home opener series.
Yeah, the home opener series, which they lost the first games. But here's the thing: as far as the Marlins, the biggest critiques that I have is probably the hitting and the bullpen, because while they are an exciting team, they do have a couple fun players. Jazz Chisholm is a fun player. Miguel Rojas is the veteran. Duval.
He went off the other day.
He went off. Yeah, he did. He has been going off.
Bro, his guy's on a tear right now. He's probably one of the best players on the team. Top 2 right now. Top 2.
Yeah. But one of the biggest things I see with the Marlins so far I can tell is just like they're not scoring the amount of runs, which is a huge problem because the baseball is you got to score more runs. Any game you got to score more runs, more points than the other team. And if you can't hit around, you're getting stuck in these low scoring games, 4-3, 2-0, whatever. Then it's kind of tough. That puts more pressure on the bullpen.
And that's when it comes down to the pitching. It's going to be a pitcher's duel. So
and that puts more pressure on the bullpen. And so far as the relievers, I haven't been super impressed. I do like our starters. Some of our starters, Alcantara and Pablo Lopez. These guys throw hard and they're throwing well so far. So far we haven't been hit by injury. The season just started. So. But the bullpen, these guys, I'm very afraid of like people who can go deep that you can go in there. Some, people that you can rely on. So I'm a kind of wait and see right now. I do have a couple players that I do like, but I'm kind of just wait and see. I don't think they're going to make a run. I think they had when they had like a little run at the end, obviously when they went on to beat Chicago, they went out, in that wild card play and they were able to go play Atlanta. But I don't see the same amount of right now, just for right now. You know, I mean, anything could change. Baseball is ebbs and flows week to week. So as of right now, I just don't see enough hitting, and I don't have enough trust in the bull.
I actually am a little surprised, but their runs scored is actually second in the division, and they're actually the only team in the National East that have a plus run differential. They're +3. Everybody else is minus.
5-year plan. Listen,
they got 66 runs scored, 63 runs allowed, and they're the only team in the division that are above, which is kind of surprising. I did not expect that.
Another team right now who's playing their kind of baseball, Dodgers, man. This is where the Yankees got to be at right now. They're 14-4. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed. It's the Yankees of the West right now. But 14-4, man, they're coming for another title.
And San Francisco, they're making a turnaround. Yeah. San Francisco's there.
They had a couple down years, man. Yeah, but again, obviously early on in the season right now, they're
10-6.
So
they're 10-6, so they're kind of turning it around.
Okay, Yankees got to win tonight. We got to keep that ball rolling, boy. We got to keep that. We had a lot of disappointing games, man. And I'm watching these games, a little hype, a little stressed out towards the end. You know, we're leaving, people stranded on base, right? We're getting hit into double plays when we need clutch hits. It's just not happening right now. Just literally the hitting's not clicking, and that's what it is, man. With this team, we're not hitting.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to bring up, I think they're scoring 55 runs. So they score 55, which is like subpar of the rest of the division. As
Holy
far as like,
shit.
Wait, you guys want to hear something crazy?
Go ahead.
This was like last week, right, with the Yankees. It was one of the games against the Blue Jays. We were the only team without a run in the first inning until Aaron Judge hit a home run in the first inning. Yeah. We were the only team left without a run in the first inning.
And you think, your first
and then took a homer.
Batters, you think your first few batters will be your best hitters in the game, right? You put them first, right? You want them
exactly. Yeah. So that explains the struggle. It took us about 2-3 weeks to get a run in the first inning.
What's the order? What's their order? The batting order?
It's got to be Judge. Well,
Judge batting 2. Yeah. Nah, they moved them up to 2.
Judge?
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't do Judge at 3 and then Giancarlo at 4.
Well, he's been in and out, I'm not really sure his situation. DHs.
They got LeMahieu, Judge, Gardner, Stan.
LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu off.
So they do have Stan 4. I guess. By the way, Boston has is 24-point run differential. They're +28. Yankees are -7. The best is the Dodgers +38 run differential. That's insane.
Bro, that offensive power in the Dodgers these last 2 years.
That's insane. They're 6-0 at home.
But that was us last year. We definitely have the lineup for it, bro. We got LeMahieu. He won the batting title last year. Aaron Judge, you already know what he can do. Right now, Brett Gardner got subbed in. He was playing. You got Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Ford, Sanchez. He was in a slump last season. He's kind of coming back now. He has a couple home runs, a couple hits. Urshela, we're there, man. We're waiting for our boy Luke Voit to get back. He's injured. He led in home runs last season. So we got some offensive power. It's just not clicking right now.
We shall see. As the baseball season continues, it just got started. Has it even been a month yet since the game started?
20 games.
Yeah, no.
20 games. Not even
I don't think so. April 1st.
So, yeah. So I just want to get into our next subject, which is NBA. The biggest news, I guess, over the weekend or over the past weekend was LaMarcus Aldridge. Obviously, he made news, a big splash when he decided he was a free agent, and he signed. We had that thing where he might go to the Heat, but he ended up going to the Nets. But then, even less than a week later, he decides to retire because I guess he had a heart issue going on with him. So LaMarcus Aldridge, obviously, a big, a huge player. I think, he had it's probably at the end of, he's an older guy, and, obviously he's going to the Nets, probably a team that is going to make the playoffs, probably is more than likely to win the whole damn thing. But obviously he retires. So what do you think that kind of impact makes on the Nets going forward?
Nothing.
I don't think he was really going to put much work in. That team was doing just fine with him. He was He was just going to ride the backpack. He was just going to sit
Definitely
back there.
asset.
He's going to get
there.
zipped up. He's going to be a little warm, a little cozy. He got his hoodie on. Like he was just chilling in that backpack. He was vibing, bro.
Yeah. Not saying he wasn't good or anything, but like you said, what effect does it have on that Nets team? Nothing. Honestly,
he maybe would have scored like maybe like 6
bro,
points or something.
Was there. He
on
was
average
there to grab some rebounds
and be a body. He was there to be a body against Joel.
Body in the paint, you know.
Yeah. As I say, he might get like 4 or 6 points a game.
You know, force some fouls on some players.
But that's fine because, you know, every player has to find their role. So, like, you know, he had very good years, you know, early on, you know,
of
with the Trailblazers.
And, you know, respect to him. But him on that Nets team, bro, they didn't even need him in the first place. And they still got him.
I've been watching Nets basketball. How's Blake Griffin? Is he actually getting playtime?
Yeah, he is. He actually dunked a couple. Well, not
I haven't been.
He finally dunked.
He's still dunking, bro. No, listen, that first dunk you mentioning, he already did that last month. That's been out the way. He's dunked multiple times now. Everybody thought he was he played the game. He made everybody believe he was washed when he wasn't washed. He just wanted out. So, I mean, he's playing pretty good. You know, obviously, he's doing his thing, man.
I wasn't sure if he was even a starter. Like, is he a starter?
He's in a starting lineup.
I think so because is still out. They played the Heat. Actually, the Heat had a big win over the Nets last week because Harden was out, and I think KD came out. KD came out of the first quarter or something. So it was just Kyrie and the rest of the team, and they had a big win last week. So he's got to be playing. He's got to be playing.
You know, like their whole core four or whatever big three, they're not even playing a lot together. You know, a lot of players are sitting out for whatever reason. You know, KD is injuries here and there. Kyrie taking time out. You know, Harden, with his injuries, and they're still playing pretty good.
Well, that sounds like I feel like every time I hear the Nets, like anything with KD I just feel like they're like never playing, just hurt. Like I just feel like I always hear that. Like they're just not.
There's two ways you can look at this. Right? So they're not playing together. They're still winning, right? They're all not out there. So it's like you can look at it as, all right, maybe they won't have the chemistry they need in the playoffs to make that finals run, or they're just gaining extra rest. So when playoff time comes, they're just going to smoke everybody because they're all going to be on the court.
You know what? I'll say now that you bring that up, though, like it's one thing if they've already played together, but they haven't at all. So it's like, who's going to be that number one guy? Like, I guess it has to be.
They got a couple games under their belt, but I know what you mean. Not enough.
But when it comes down to like playoff time, like, can James Harden handle probably being second fiddle to KD because they might give him the ball or vice versa? Like, I see Kyrie being a supplemental player, and I think he knows how to be one, winning that championship with LeBron. But KD and Harden have been the guy, like, their careers so far. I mean, James Harden hasn't been like backup since he was in Oklahoma, which was fucking years ago now.
Honestly, I don't think that's going to be an issue because I know when they all decided to join together, that's going to come to mind. So I personally feel like it's not going to be an issue between these guys. I mean, I know everyone's going to want the last shot, but I feel like they believe in one another to hit that last shot. We've seen what KD's done in high pressure moments. We know what James Harden can do. And we've seen Kyrie hit one of the most clutch shots in NBA Finals history in 2016. So I don't think you could go wrong either way.
Yeah.
It's just like next man up. Like if one guy goes down, it's like, okay, then we got KD. Oh, KD's down. Okay, we got Harden. Okay,
I guess my only thing is like, since they've never like this is their first season together, like I'm curious to see how it works out. Like if this was next season, I wouldn't worry about it. Like it's whatever. They already have that experience together. But like you said, they haven't really got a whole lot of like reps together, especially once they starts hitting 100% when it comes to playoff time. Like I'm curious to see how that works out.
Honestly, I feel like the coach is gonna make a decision probably like who's playing the best that game, who got the hot hand right now. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like he's gonna get the ball. Whoever has the hot hand that game.
Let's go, Steve Nash.
Speaking of hot hands and buzzer beaters, right now they're playing 131-129 over the Pelicans. They're winning with 6 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Kyrie Irving is 30 points, 8 assists. Let's see who else.
Guy is a walking bucket, bro.
Joe Harris got 22 points. Blake Griffin got 16 points. So they're playing right now. The last
Blake
seconds.
Griffin putting in work.
Yeah,
man, what's going on? Speaking of the Pelicans, what's going on? I saw something with like Zion in the news. Like, did he say something or do something?
Oh, yeah,
I got you.
I didn't see it. I just saw his face.
He's a Jordan Brand athlete, and they unveiled his first signature shoe. Zion has his first signature shoe. So that's why
I thought it was something bad.
Media and everything like that.
I thought it was something bad. I saw like Stephen A. like yelling at him about some shit.
Yeah, wasn't he? Was he playing the Knicks? I think he was playing the Knicks, and he was in New York, and he made a comment.
That's what it was. Yeah,
he would want to play there. Basically, we say that's one of his most entertaining, fun spots to play at MSG. So then we all know the tank for Zion situation happened. They end up dropping to 3, and then they pick up RJ Barrett. But New York's hope was Zion. The way you tank for Tua, it was tank for Zion. And
remember they lost in that lottery because I think somebody went above them because they do the lottery or whatever. I think it was like
they got 3.
Fuck the lottery, dude. Fuck the lottery.
Well, listen, that's all the New York fans, all the Knicks fans, everyone was sad, bro. They dropped to 3 in that lottery, and that's why they got RJ Barrett at 3. Yeah. And then Zion went number 1, and John Morant went number 2.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the lottery? I feel like it's just stupid. Personally.
I would love for them to change it as far as lottery. Like, I think in my mind, I think I told you guys before, like, I feel like the NBA should get rid of like East and West. Two things to make the NBA more competitive or make NBA fans more interested in the game. I think they should get rid of East and West. I think it should just be like soccer. It's just like all these teams are in this league, and whoever the top teams are, the top 16, those go in the playoffs, and you do whatever bracket like that. Get rid of East and West because it doesn't make sense anymore to me, in my opinion. Whatever, because that'll make me, when they go play a West Coast team, they go play the Jazz, they go play the Lakers. I might stay up for the Lakers, but they're playing like a late game away, whatever. But if it's like they're playing like the Portland Trailblazer, they're playing fucking whoever, I'm like, yo, I'm going to bed. Like, I'll see the results.
Honestly,
later.
That's kind of hype. Like, I'd be actually kind of down for that. This top 16, and you just rank it like March Madness, like 116, like that might be pretty hype.
Also, I think this goes across all leagues. So if you're going to keep the divisions, whatever.
Divisions are pointless.
If you're going to keep that, if you're going to keep the divisions, then I say you should benefit the second place team because always the lottery picks always goes to the lowest team, whoever sucks the most, and that kind of promotes tanking. So like whatever you want to say, the Dolphins tank, the Jets tank, whatever. You should give higher ranking to whoever is the team that didn't make the playoffs. So whoever, let's say you have 2 teams that make the playoffs, whoever that third team is, you should give them priority over whatever, because they're competitive enough, that'll make teams going into the playoffs want to compete more. Even though you're not playing for a playoff spot, maybe you're playing for a fucking, instead of tanking and trying to lose to get a spot, maybe you try to win to get a spot. You know what I mean? And it makes fans more interested towards the end. Like, yo, y'all need to win. Like, fuck this tanking shit. If you give that sub placement more priority or over like lottery picks, give them the first.
Because either way, you got something to fight for. So
you got something to fight for.
If you're fighting for that playoff spot, right, and you don't get it, then the next best thing is you're fighting for that lottery spot.
Yeah.
See, I don't see how that would work because the idea of getting the first overall pick is you're supposed to be the worst team. So you're awarding somebody who won the first pick, then they're not actually the worst team. And the idea is to give it to the worst team. And
but that's what I'm saying.
And realistically, like players don't tank, I mean, like, but I don't really like that because the whole idea is the worst team should be awarded the best player. And the problem is, I think real quick, like if you do the lottery system like it is, I think you're going to get the same what the Sixers did. We're going to do it year after year after year.
You're going to keep losing
and just get in the top 4. Versus like if you look at football, for example, like let's say the Browns or like let's say the Jags, like we're not going to be number 1 or even top 5. Like we're going to dip out of that. But and like you're not just going to we're not going to tank again next year. Like, and I think the thing with basketball, by having that lottery system, I think you're promoting things like the Sixers to keep on trying to because they're not going to get, if they would have just got the first overall pick 1 year, they might have not even been in the running again. Like, all right, they tanked that 1 year and that's it. But no, they did it for like 4 years.
So how especially with this COVID shit, they always allow more teams to come into the playoffs. So like, just like there's always, you know, teams in the hunt, or there's teams in the wild card, and then there's teams in the hunt. What my idea is, like, just across all sports, whether baseball, basketball, football, whatever. So whoever's like in the hunt, so there's, you know, whoever's like actually wins the wild card and they move on to the playoffs, you should award that team that was in the hunt. Whoever, you know, figure out the order of how you want to do it. I see what you
mean, yeah. But to Julian's point real quick, see, it's different. It works different in NFL, right? So is this how it works in NFL? Like the worst team, right? Worst record, they automatically get the number 1 pick, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it goes in order of who is the worst to the best.
So here's the thing in the NBA. Like, I get what you're saying, but it's different. So I feel like NFL, that would promote more tanking, because you know if you come in last place, you're guaranteed that first. NBA, it's a lottery, like you said. You have a percentage to get that number 1 pick. It doesn't guarantee it.
Yes,
like but year after year, it's luck. It comes out to luck. Like,
but you
could be the worst team, and you could get the 5th pick.
Exactly. So then you do it again next year to see if you can get a higher pick, just like what the Sixers did. And that's what I'm saying is most likely in like football, you tank once and that's kind of it. The Dolphins are tanking. They're not doing it anymore. The thing is with the Sixers.
Why?
Because you got your guy that you wanted. You're more in tune to get the guy that you kind of want.
But that's only one guy.
I mean, that's not going to turn around a whole team, though.
And my thing is, though, I don't think it's fair to use this lottery system when realistically, let's say the fucking who's the worst team right now?
And I'm not saying teams don't tank, but what I'm saying is, it's if you know in the NFL you're the worst team, isn't that more incentive? Like, yo, if I'm the worst team, I'm getting that number 1. But in NBA, like, again, you could be the worst team.
But like I said, though, for no reason, players don't tank. Players won't tank because they have a job that they have. They got to be on a team next year. You don't want to be a part of a team.
So I don't get your argument then.
What I'm saying is I don't think the lottery is fair. Organizations tank. Players don't tank. Coaches don't tank. But what I'm saying is a lottery's not right because you can be the 10th worst team, like hypothetically, and get the first overall pick. You don't need the pick as much as somebody who's the worst team, which who's the Pistons or some shit. Like, and I think if you're having this lottery, you're keeping these shitty teams at the bottom because they're constantly relying on the lottery, but they're not actually they're getting like, 6th, 5th, shit like that versus like,
but you could say that in the NFL as well. Then
no, because look at this now. We got Trevor Lawrence. This could forever change our franchise, and we're not going to stick there at the bottom. Look at Cleveland. Cleveland's in the playoffs now because they had the first overall pick. They got Baker Mayfield, and now they got a quarterback. The thing is, if you're constantly having Detroit,
a couple of years.
Yeah, but you still have that guy. You have that guy though. Versus like if you're constantly the bottom tier, but you're just not getting lucky in this randomized draw, you're just going to keep on getting stuck down there because you're not able to get the best players to help you get out of that run. Because the idea is to cycle through teams.
I think the discussion is different, like depending on different sports, right? Because football team, one guy doesn't necessarily change it. We talk about quarterbacks, whatever. But in football, because there's so many positions, right? There's 11 positions on each side. Mm-hmm. So
and you're the one that promotes saying,
which, if anything, basketball means more.
And basketball,
your one player is going to turn your whole franchise around in 1 year.
Yeah, but in basketball,
so if you get your one player, right, you're the worst team, and then next year you see yourself playing bad, and you're like, you know what, we won 2 games, even though we got our guy. Hey, maybe we'll lose these last few, so we got another number 1. Because we know we can get number 1.
And that happens. Record. But what the idea, though, is once you get that number 1 player, that is your foundation, and then you build around that. Like, was the Pelicans the worst?
That's for any league.
But why should we leave it up?
And we try to play good.
But why should we leave it up to God, like randomized, like a lottery, to see who gets the best player?
I think that's more fair. I think that's more fair because if
you don't think the worst, you don't think the worst team.
It doesn't matter what place you come in. If you don't make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs. So if you're not first, you're last, and then you're gonna get the top guy every year. So
you're not gonna that's never happened though. Nobody just tanks multiple years. Look, the best example is
right?
Yeah, I know.
No, but look at this. The best example is the Sixers. Do you really think the Sixers would have continued? But no. Wait. Do you think the Sixers would have continuously tanked if they got the number 1 pick? Like say if there was no lottery system. No, the Sixers clearly were tanking. They clearly were. It was evident. Like it was pretty evident. Do you really think if they got their number 1 guy Like, if you're the worst team, you're the
Bro,
shittiest team. You should get the best prospect.
And they still suck. And they still suck. That's what I'm. That
yeah,
one
but
player,
now look at
bro,
them. They're the number one.
Williams, they got Joel Embiid. They got all these players.
But look,
and they were still
it turned around, right? It turned around. It took years because they had to tank for years. That's what I'm saying. So you think the 12th worst team deserves to get the best player? Like, was the Pelicans the worst player to get Zion? The worst team should get the best player.
No, they
if you're a shit team,
no, but then it's like.
So then you're just stuck down there unless you get lucky.
For Zion. That's like the Knicks. So basically, the Knicks deserve to get him, but it was fair. It was a lottery.
But think about it. Why do you think an NBA is now a free agency game? Because there's no build. You can't do anything with the draft now. It's all up to luck. The only fate that you have in your hands to determine where you are is if you do free agency now. The draft doesn't even mean as much anymore unless you're that top guy.
I guess it depends.
It's been like that for a while, though.
Yeah,
it's because of that. Because we've had the lottery forever. I mean, the thing is, I just think you're going to keep those bad teams at the bottom, and there's going to be no cycle because they're not going to get the best talent. And the idea is you want more talent cycling through.
That could go the same way in football. I believe that could go the same way in football. That's all I'm saying. Just because you know your picks, like for sure. So I'm like, if you know what season
you're saying that could happen,
already prepare the draft.
But
that prepared next year.
Yeah,
I guess talking about Trevor Lawrence for months now because you knew you finished last.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not. But look what happened. Yeah, but okay, but look at this though. No, but JoJo, look. Okay, yeah, right. But we're not going to be at the bottom again. It cycles out. The thing is, what I'm saying is you're keeping because you got the best player. You don't know. Obviously, there's JoJo. Let me finish. Let me say this. Let me go this whole statement. Let me say this whole statement.
Good.
If you get the best player, best prospect, you have a better chance of getting out of a hole. If you leave it up to let me finish. I was like, obviously, yes, every draft pick is it's up to luck. You don't know at the end of the day. Zach Wilson might be a bust. Just Trevor Lawrence. You never know. But what you do know is you're getting the best prospect right then and there. And the idea is to have that worst team not be the worst team again because they're getting the best player. And if anything, that works more in basketball because of the nature of basketball. There's only 5 players on the court. So if that team gets the number 1 pick, they're not going to look at Charlotte. I mean, they didn't get the number 1 pick, but they got a really star player and now they're in a playoff run. The thing is that you want shit team.
I get it. But you got to look at the off-season moves they made as well, not just directly.
Yes, but I mean, obviously, you're talking a whole thing. But the thing is, you're building your free agents based on who you got an idea of who you're going to pick, because that person that you're picking is your future. And my thing is, if you're the worst team, you deserve the best prospect because it's the best way to cycle teams out.
Bottom line. You want to get rid of the lottery because you don't think that's fair. So you would rather have it like NFL way. So the worst team will get the number 1 pick in the NBA. Do you think that would work?
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it would work because the thing is,
everyone will tank.
But if that's the case, why isn't everybody tanking in the NFL? With that you can't say everybody will tank.
Yeah.
Browns tank for Tua. Yeah. Browns are trash for years. Look, Cincinnati, they got their boy.
That doesn't stop tanking. You just said that, but that doesn't stop. The lottery doesn't stop tanking, though. So you said tanked.
No, I'm saying the lottery.
The Sixers tanked 4 times.
What pick you had? The lottery.
But let me ask you this. My final point. What is then? How are these shitty teams supposed to get out if they're not getting the top prospect? Unless they get it by luck.
Well, all right. All right. I see what you mean. You're saying you want to get them out the rut. But
because the idea is you don't want to see the same teams. You don't want to see the same teams all the time. It's boring. You want to keep fan bases interested. You got to switch it up.
All right. Forget the fan base. Forget all that. We're talking about possibly avoiding tanking. No, I feel like knowing your pick and how you place. Obviously, teams don't tank on purpose. Players don't tank. You're saying that. So why does the lottery do that then? If that's what you're saying.
Well, the thing is, the lottery doesn't stop it. I think there is no way to stop tanking. As long as there's a draft system, you're going to have people and teams that tank.
Okay,
it's just
so
the nature
you're
of it.
literally fighting against your own argument then, saying
I'm not fighting against my own argument. I'm fighting is like the lottery doesn't, it's if anything, because you're saying that they're tanking on purpose. At the end of the day, the Jaguars, but bottom line,
want to tank. If you know your pick, you're more likely want to tank. Whereas
so let me ask you this.
That's all I'm saying. A lottery is not a guarantee.
All right, so let me ask you this. The Jaguars were easily, like, you say we're tanking or whatever. We were the worst
team to lose.
Yes, but I'm talking about the team as a whole. We were the worst team. We had the worst roster. Right?
And you were rooting for
listen, let me listen.
You knew you'll get the number one pick.
Yes, but NBA, I'm a fan.
You won't root for them to lose because you don't know if
the Sixers did it. Ramsey. Y'all had Jalen Ramsey, obviously.
Well, not this past year.
We're just gonna go in circles. We'll let Gabe mediate.
All right, let me just put a cap. Obviously, there's a difference. I'm a media. I'm gonna just cap it off so we can end it here. This is a funny surprise topic. We always talk about surprise topic, but this is a good one. So obviously we're talking about two different systems, right? We're talking about the NBA, NFL, MLB. They have a draft system, but it doesn't really matter because they trade.
Theirs is in order too, right? Isn't it? And who has the worst?
So obviously, NBA.
NBA is the only one, right? Huh? NHL, I don't think does it. I know MLS doesn't. I think NBA is the only lottery.
Yeah, I think NHL is more in line with MLB.
I think everybody's the same except NBA. Yeah. I think NBA is the only lottery system.
Yeah. So NBA, obviously, we're talking about two systems, right? Because NBA does the lottery, so you can lose, but it doesn't guarantee it because you still have to put the balls and the thing, and it flies around, and then they pull a thing out, right? So you can lose, right? And it doesn't guarantee you a spot. Was JoJo's argument, but obviously in NFL, your record, you can tell ahead. Obviously when we get towards the end of the season, like okay. We talk about teams trying to go up into the playoffs. Like, oh, the Chiefs got to beat the Dallas, and Dallas got to lose. The Dolphins got to lose to the Jets, and then we can figure out like you can map. With the NFL, the way their lottery works is you can map out like wins and losses. And so what Georgia's argument is that I guess it's easier in the NFL to map out wins and losses. Like it's easier to map out tanking in the NFL than it is in the NBA because, like he said, it's not you can't really guarantee a spot. You can guarantee a chance at a spot, but it doesn't guarantee your spot until you do the little balls and pull it out, whatever. I'm like I said, my plan. What I was thinking is kind of to benefit, is kind of an anti-tanking thing to benefit those people who don't get in. Maybe obviously everyone wants to go in the playoffs. Everyone wants a chance at a championship. But my idea is instead of flipping it to, to what Julian's point is, to flip it to the bottom. Flip it to those teams that are like borderline, like they could possibly go, like make them more competitive, and that'll make everybody want to keep winning to make it anti-tanking. You know what I mean? That was just my proposal that I'm throwing out there. I don't know.
I guess my big point, like at the end of all this, is that I think you're keeping those bottom teams at the bottom because you're keeping it like a college system to where Alabama is going to obviously there is more random into it, but. Well, you're not giving the chance for a bottom tier teams you're not guaranteeing them a chance to like actually turn it around by getting a better player.
And I think there's a way that maybe in my idea, like I said, like supporting those subpar teams that maybe could go in the playoffs. There's maybe you can do like a hybrid where maybe those sucky teams, you give them a chance, you give them more of an opportunity and then mix in those other teams. But like I said, just my idea in my head, like I said, to make it more competitive. It just makes winning the priority, right? It doesn't make tanking, trying to get into position to get to the lowest. It doesn't make that a priority. It makes winning. It's like, yo, okay, we're out of the playoffs, but guess what? We still got to win because I'm still trying to get to the top. Like if we're making winning a priority, and you make the priority winning as far as like those subpar teams that don't make the playoffs, then that makes it even if you're not in the playoffs as a fan, you're still as a fan, as a player, and as an org. You still want to win to get into that position. I see it happening. I've never seen anybody propose anything like that, but there's just an idea I had in my head about it. I don't think it's going to change. Like it'll still be, the way we do it as far as
I think
MLB,
they have been
basketball.
questioning the lottery, though, haven't they? I want
They
to say
have
I've
for
seen
the last couple of years. Everyone's trying to figure out a better way to it, just like we're talking about it now.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm just going to say, I don't think it's the best. I'm not, I mean, obviously, it doesn't have to be like the NFL. They could do their own thing. I just think leaving it up to just pure numbers on a ball is just not the way to do it. I think, you gotta, this is a professional league, dude. These are the best of the best. And this isn't college. Like, you got to make everybody competitive. And I think to like NFL, if you look, you say the NFL system doesn't work, but literally NFL is one of those things where it's literally any given Sunday, anybody can win any week. And it's just like NBA is not like that. It's just not. You have the top 15, and that's kind of it. And in some years, it's been the top 10. And like I said, you just want more competition.
Yeah. Whenever they play a West Coast team and they lose, I'm like, okay, they lost. It kind of sucks, because it sucks traveling across, going transatlantic or whatever. I don't know, going across America to some West Coast team and losing. But if you, like I said, if you get rid of the divisions or just make it like soccer, just like whoever has the best records, they get into the playoffs. It's not like if you win the East, or if you win the Division South or the East North or whatever.
I agree with that. I agree, because then you get rid of some of these, like the Bulls are 24-33.
Yeah,
you get rid of some of those below 500 teams and you get them out of the playoffs because they don't really deserve to be there.
Also, I'm not a big fan of, especially when teams travel, those back-to-back games. They should absolutely get rid of those fucking back-to-back because they absolutely suck. You're setting up the away team to lose. Fucking
pretty much.
That's one of the worst.
Jet lag, everything. You're not at home.
So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of getting rid of the back-to-back games. I'm a big fan of getting rid of the divisions. Just make it the best. Whoever has the best records, you go to the playoffs. Make it like soccer. And I'm a fan of like making the lottery more competitive. But that's it. That's not, that's just an idea I had in my brain. I'm not gonna actually do it.
I wouldn't even be upset with the NHL system. The NHL system's not that bad. I don't mind that as much either. You get the top 2 from every division, and then the best records who aren't in the top 2 go to the wild card. Like, I think baseball was like that.
Yeah,
in a sense.
All right, so
while
we're kind of semi-talking about it. This will be our last topic of the day because we kind of went over time. But just talking about NBA, as far as we were talking about LaMarcus Aldridge, MVP talk, because there's a lot of talk about who's going to be MVP. There's a lot of names out there. Just throw out a few. There's Jokic, there's Luka, Kyrie, Embiid, Steph Curry. I'm a fan of Jimmy Buckets. Giannis. So, Jojo, who are some of your favorites?
And don't forget my boy Damian Lillard. All right, everyone, put some respect on his name. All right, he should be in that conversation.
So
he's been one of the more underrated players for a while now.
Bro, listen, this man right now, I know everyone wants to go off record and everything. You know what I mean? They're still in playoff contention, but Damian Lillard right now averaging 28.7 points a game, 4.2 rebounds per game, and 7.7 assists per game. I mean, obviously going against his competitors right now in the top 5, majority of the numbers are all similar. Giannis is averaging 28, Luka's averaging 28, Embiid's averaging 30, Jokic 26, but his numbers are wild. 26, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists for a center.
That's wild.
It's ridiculous.
But who do you think, as far as team players, has been contributing to the team as far as overall the entire season? Because obviously we have to deal with injuries, LeBron, AD, KD, all these injuries going on. But who do you think contributes the most to their team as far as they're the most valuable? Do you think they're the most valuable to the team or the most valuable to the league?
Well, I mean, right now, Steph Curry's been on a tear. I'm not sure if they're in playoff contention right now, but he's putting them on 9th. That is not my player. I'm going to have to go ahead and say, man, honestly, Joel Embiid, number 1 team in the East. He's averaging 30, 11, and 3 assists, and he's putting on for that team. Like, it's been a quiet run for him. I think this is their year to make a little run in the playoffs, get out of the second round. So I'd say Joel Embiid right now in the East.
Julian, who are some of your favorite players as far as the name of the play? Like I said, Steph Curry. Jojo brought up Damian Lillard. Kyrie, he's been, finally got to play this year. Who are some of your favorite players?
Well, if you want to talk about the most valuable to their team, it's definitely Curry. If he's gone, they're already they're ninth right now.
Yep.
And if he's gone, they're done. He's definitely the most valuable.
Dead last, I would say, in the West. If there was no Curry.
Yeah.
The way he's pushing the team and what he's doing right now is ridiculous.
He's averaging 31.4 points a game, leading the whole league.
I think he made like 70 3-pointers in like the last 10 games or something, which is a record. This guy's still breaking 3-point records every other day. He's being sat out. This is like prime Curry, like MVP Curry, meaning like he's dropping 40 by the third quarter and then they're sitting him.
But here's the thing. Here's my counter argument, Steph Curry. And I believe Steph Curry is an elite player, top player. He's still a fantastic shooter, one of the most elite players in the game.
Also, you're just saying most valuable player to their team.
Okay.
I don't know if he's necessarily the most valuable player in the league. I mean, he's definitely in the running. But when you're talking about just, like you said, just like to their team, it's got to be him. Him or Lillard.
While he is fantastic and puts up numbers, it's like one of these things was like, okay, maybe they're not a playoff team this year. Maybe they're not going to make the playoffs, whatever. It's like, when you already have these bad teams, there's like somebody has to score on a bad team, right? Like somebody has to make points. Like they're not just scoring zeros all night. Like somebody has to produce. And as far as, the Golden State Warriors, they've definitely had a fall from grace ever since, KD, KD came and KD left. They've had injuries going on or whatever. So it's like when it comes to bad teams, there's definitely an argument of like, yeah, this guy's producing numbers, but is he just a compiler? Is he compiling numbers? Is he compiling stats? And I'm not saying that of Steph Curry, because Steph Curry, like I said, he's an excellent player, but like, is he the best in the league? You know what I mean?
Like, are those numbers having a direct effect on your team? You know what I mean? Like, you can have the most points, the most rebounds, the most assists, whatever, but like, are you impacting your team?
Yeah, that's just kind of my thing when I look at it. So like, even though I don't necessarily like to put like the MVP, just the guy with the highest numbers, like I think that's like unnecessary.
Of course, yeah.
But just the guy who's had the greatest impact on the team. Like, I like looking at like what do they say, WAR, wins above average or wins above replacement is what it's called, the WAR.
I think the thing though with that is like, go ahead, finish.
I was gonna say, just looking at your plus minus. What do you do when you're on the floor? Are you plus or minus? And what do you do when you're resting, when you're off the floor? How does your team? How effective is your team when you're on and off the floor? I like looking at those kind of stats and comparing it. You know what I mean? I'm just not straight numbers like, oh, look, James Harden had the most points for the year, or the most assists, whatever. It's like, okay, but like as far as him as a teammate, like, did he make his team better? You know what I mean? Did he elevate his team and elevate people around him?
Well, the thing with that is it's hard because you don't, like, every team is different. You know what I mean? You can't just, it's a stat that depends on what your team is. Like, if you got a stacked team, like, if that's the case, can you give any of the Nets players in the running for MVP? Because, they arguably haven't been playing, but when they're on the court, they're balling out. They're not necessarily the most valuable player on their team, maybe. Like, they're fine without him. But, like, if you think of, like, Steph Curry, like, if he's gone, like, they're done for. Because, every team's built differently. Every team has different depth. Like, some teams don't have any depth. So, I think that's a hard metric to go by.
It's definitely a compilation of all those things, team record, impact, your plus minus, what you're averaging and what you're producing.
Because look at the Jazz. The Jazz are a very deep team. Like, they're a good team. I don't know if they necessarily have a star. Like, Rudy Gobert gets all his rebounds, but like, it's not like they have a huge star on there.
No Donovan Mitchell, man. You're not gonna put some respect on Mitchell's name.
Mitchell had a good playoff run last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I'm just going, as of right now, I'm looking on the stat. There's the only Jazz player that's on any of these stats is Gobert, and it's just for blocks and rebounds, and that's it.
That's why we didn't put any Jazz players in our top 5 for MVP right now. So clearly they're not in discussion. But like,
but that's what I mean. Like, when you try to use it,
we did mention, you know what I mean? Well, like, what impacts they're doing on their team.
Do y'all remember like the Detroit Pistons? Because the kind of Detroit Pistons were kind of this underground team, like nobody expected much out of them, I think they played well together. This was a team of like Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace,
Of course.
Chauncey.
Who doesn't know that team?
I mean, do you think they had?
I
would say their best player on their team was probably Chauncey Billups. He was a fucking fantastic free throw shooter. But
depends on the year, I think.
But like, so I'm just picking up this team because this kind of maybe like a outlier team, whatever. Like, do you think like that Detroit Pistons teams really had like a superstar? I remember watching games and fucking Rip Hamilton would just be running, bro. I just saw him running on the offense. He's just running around, fucking whatever. Rasheed Wallace just pull up 3, 2, whatever. Chauncey Billups, you don't want to foul him because if he went on the floor, he would just score.
Yeah, Tayshaun Prince.
A defensive monster. Tayshaun Prince was also on that team.
I would probably say they're superstars.
Yeah, they were good together as a team, but did they have any all-stars, would you say?
I think 4 of them were all-stars. I think they had a whole starting 5 that was
Bro,
all-stars.
You're asking if they're all-stars. You got a handful of the guys are going to be Hall of Famers. Of course.
I mean, I will say, like, I think the star out of all those guys was, from what I remember, I would have to go back, but just based off the top of the noggin, I'd probably say Ben Wallace. Yeah. He was dominant. He was really dominant.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think right now. I'm thinking back in my mind, like all these championship teams, like with the Miami Heat, like we had Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, and like we had fucking these are obviously elite players. They're all gonna be Hall of Famers.
And LeBron won 2 MVPs with the Heat with a big 3. So
yeah, but
he still was the MVP of the league. Still the best player, and whether he had a big 3 or not, he was clearly the best player.
Do they have nominees yet?
You know what I'm saying? Like you can see like who the best players are.
So that's what I worry about. Like I think some of these names, like especially like Jokic, I think he just got traded, right? He was in Orlando, and he got traded.
Jokic was on the Nuggets.
The Nuggets. Sorry.
Yeah, he was on for the last few years.
So and he's a big body, kind of. He definitely puts up numbers as far as like rebounds, points, whatever. He cleans up. And I think he probably gets the least respect out of all these names, but maybe maybe Damian Lillard.
Do you want me to give you the odds right now?
Sure. Who do they got? What are the top odds as far as Las Vegas? And then we'll end it here. We'll finish it as of right now.
So Jokic is the favorite right now. Then it's Joel Embiid. Like he's minus 375. Joel Embiid is second place plus 338.
And let me guess, three's Luka?
No, 3 is Giannis. Luka's not even in the top 5.
Damn.
It's Giannis, then it's Steph Curry, then it's James Harden.
I think that's a pretty good list.
They feel really good about Jokic winning it. They really feel James Harden is plus 2,500, so it's very slim.
I think one of the biggest problems with MVP is like people forget about the first half. When they go to the All-Star, people forget about the first half of the season.
Well, speaking that you say that,
whoever's the hottest the last half of the season. You know what I mean?
Well, it's showing the odds throughout the entire season. Like, if you give me a time, like,
well, who's been the top most? Who are the top 3 most of the time? Or can you just give me like a general like?
I feel like Joel Embiid was always up there this entire season.
I feel like
Giannis as well. They thought Giannis he's back to back, so why not another one?
Giannis started out the first 2 months as the favorite, and then it didn't switch from Giannis. Then it went to Joel Embiid in like late January, but like neck and neck with Jokic, and they've been neck and neck the whole time. But since March, Jokic's been kind of separating himself from Embiid.
And I wouldn't be mad.
If Jokic or Embiid win MVP, they'll be the first centers to win since Shaq. So that's crazy.
Damn, it's been that long.
I think that was like 2000. Did Shaq win in 2000? One of those years. 2000? Yeah, he was the last center to win MVP.
Duncan. No,
Giannis is not really a center. Giannis is not considered a center.
No, I mean, what is his? He's kind of positionless. I mean,
like power forward.
Yeah, power forward. I put him at
NBA
4.
is becoming more and more positionless now. It's like
he's just so I don't know. But those are pretty good names. I would feel pretty good. If they won, like I wouldn't feel bad about it. But like I said, a lot of times the voting they ignore the first half of the season. They only concentrate on like who's been the hottest this last half. So we shall see going forward. Anything else we need to discuss going forward? I think we're pretty much done here.
Yeah, we got the live draft show next week. So that's going to be pretty hype. Thursday. Jojo, I know you work, but I don't know if you want to pop on later or whatever, see your Broncos pick. If you're back, I don't know.
Anyways, Real Fans Podcast on all the things. We'll be here next week, cover the drafts, any other new sport. We're going to cover the Panthers. We're going to cover baseball. We're going to cover soccer. We're going to cover hockey. It's all sports except football right now. So we're going to cover all that next week. Real Fan Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. Appreciate y'all coming out. Spotify. Thank you.